It is Wednesday evening. We are in Paris. This is Roland-Garros, and it's raining and it's wet and it's soggy and the courts have been covered. Look at that shot. You can barely see Philippe Chatrier. The rain has been falling since, oh dear, enough of these shots. It's so gloomy. We are being warmed up by some of the tennis that's taking place under the roof. It has been a very wet and soggy day to the point where earlier today, all play on outside courts were cancelled because they knew the rain was going to keep on falling, which means we have a bumper day for you tomorrow, weather permitting. But let's focus on what is going on and what has gone on today with a little bit of what's coming up on tonight's show. The world number one, Iga Swiatek, a defending champion, is on the ropes on Philippe Chatrier, while Carlos Alcaraz suffers a scare as he books his place in the third round. And the stage is set for an intriguing night session. Let's give you a little glimpse into what is taking place, because we have the two courts, we have the two roofs. And I mentioned that Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, is in a spot of bother. Now, this was billed as a big match. Iga Swiatek against Naomi Osaka. Osaka still working her way back to full fitness. She has the game, but does she have the belief and does she have the confidence? The scoreline would tell you yes. It is not over yet. She has not crossed the finish line, but she is a game away from defeating Iga Swiatek, the defending champion, the world number one by a country mile in the second round at Roland-Garros. So that is taking place right now, and we'll be back with any developments on Philippe Chatrier. We also have action taking place on Susan Lenglen. Coco Gauff going about her business against Tamara Zidansek. Now, former semi-finalist Tamara Zidansek actually had to come through the qualifying competition. Always tricky to face qualifiers. Coco Gauff navigated that first set with ease, and now she's got a break and she's looking comfortable. And Stan Wawrinka still to come on Susan Lenglen before the end of the day. We love a court with a roof because it means we have tennis, and I'm delighted to say that keeping me company in the cold and the wet and the rain is former world number 5 and French Open champion here, mixed doubles winner, part of the team in 2005, Daniela Hantuchova. Danny, thank you for braving the weather to be here this evening.
Yeah, I wish I was bringing more sunshine, Gigi, but it's always such an honor and pleasure to be with you behind the same desk. And yeah, what an interesting day we have had so far. So many matches cancelled. It's never easy mentally for the players to deal with this kind of conditions. But, you know, great news is we've got two courts in action thanks to the roof. So still a lot of excitement. And yeah, what we've had so far on the center court right now, it's been quite the story of the day, really.
And you said that you turned up here without your umbrella. You didn't think that would be necessary on a day like today.
I knew it was necessary, but I managed to already lose one in the last 2-3 days. So yeah, I think I'll be running home as far as I know.
I think we might all be. In terms of this event, special memories, because you did win a trophy here, 2005, if I can wind the clock back. But it must give lovely memories. Look at that. Are you biting the trophy? You are biting. Are you kissing or biting the trophy?
We were very hungry at that point because it was quite late, just before dinner. So I think we were keen to get the ceremony done and get to some dinner. But it was such fun playing with Fabrice. I mean, he's the ultimate magician out there, and we had incredible crowd support from the first match. Playing on the old court too, we couldn't even hear each other. That's how many people were showing up, and we thought, oh wow, this is really special, and we were just having the blast throughout the 2 weeks, and yeah, it was very special to finish it that way.
So you win the mixed doubles title, Fabrice Santoro. There was a handful of fourth rounds in terms of the singles. What was it about this tournament that you enjoyed so much?
Oh, it's really hard to sum it up with just few words, but if I have to, oh gosh, look at
a little surprise for you.
I would
2006, little surprise for you.
Oh wow, I don't know. Oh yes, I played Lourdes Dominguez. Yes, good memories there. I would say charm, class, elegance, incredible food, incredibly stylish. I was just thinking actually when I was getting hair and makeup for our show today that I can't imagine May not happening in Paris, not being here for Roland-Garros. It's been such an incredible part of my life, your life as well, that, you know, this time of the year you do not want to be anywhere else. I would say also Boulogne means a lot to me because I always like to stay close to the side. I always choose that over staying in the city just to avoid the traffic and stay calm. So to me, it has so many special memories that, yeah, it's really hard to sum it up with, you know, just few sentences.
And it helps on nights like this when you live close by, you don't get too wet. Because the one thing we can't control, we can control the fashion and the food, but we cannot control the weather. And as you touched on at the start, to be a player in conditions like this, it's so frustrating, but there is nothing that anyone can do.
No, absolutely. And that's what you have to follow during the whole day. Players, we like to be in control of everything. And this is one thing that really is out of our control, and that is the weather. And it's so hard to accept because you want to plan your day ideally so that you know when to warm up, when to have your lunch or breakfast. And we are all about, almost minute by minute kind of being on a mission, especially during the Grand Slams, and especially early rounds of the first week, where it can really get kind of chaotic. I would say the number one thing that really helps is as long as you get on the court and play, because there's nothing worse than waiting around all day and then you have the adrenaline getting ready for the match and then it's not happening. I tell you what, it's not easy to fall asleep that night. It's almost good to go to the gym, do a little bit of a quick workout just to sweat a little bit, get the nerves out of your way so that you can have a peaceful night and be ready for the next day.
Not even the players who are first up on the outside courts could have predicted they'd only get 40 minutes or so. The players who can plan are the night session players. They know there is a roof. They know the night session is going to happen when it's going to happen. And this evening we have Yannick Sinner against Richard Gasquet. A lot of talk about the Sinner hip and was it going to be right? And he said, and this is similar, I like giving people exact timings. This was 5:31 when the world number 2, who actually in the live rankings is the world number 1, made his way into Roland-Garros.
Yeah, I mean, Yannick is definitely so focused and so committed to everything he does off the court. So everything from when he gets to the side, when he goes to the gym, when he has his practice warm-up, it's really planned minute by minute. And I'm such a huge fan of his game. And, I think he's the guy, if I have to pick one to go all the way here in Roland-Garros, obviously it's so unpredictable, I would go with Yannick.
Oh, we've got your tip already. There we go. Now, 4 minutes later, Richard Gasquet was making his way in. And the big question is, has he recovered enough? Yes, it was straight sets, but it was grueling straight sets against Borna Coric. He looked out on his feet at the end, but so wonderful to see him playing like he is and getting another moment to come out on Philippe Chatrier.
Yeah, absolutely, Gigi. I mean, what a moment for him to get that win and now to play against one of the best players in the world. Let's hope he would recover. I would think so. But it's one of those matchups, especially with conditions like we have tonight, that you would think, okay, it's going to be heavy. It's not going to be that easy to hit through Yannick. But at the same time, he will have more time. So it can either work for him or not. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens.
Now, we always like to have a positive. Despite the rain, by the end of today, 9 of the 32 matches, the singles matches, will have been completed. So it's time to run through for you a handful of those matches with the players done and dusted and back in the locker room. Now, Danny, the highlights aren't going to take too long because there's just 2 women's matches completed, starting with Ons Jabeur. She only had 6 match wins this year coming into Roland-Garros.
Yeah, Gigi, definitely Ons not coming into this tournament that confident, although, there were moments in the match where she showed her brilliance, but he really had to dig deep, which is great. As one of the top players, you always want to be tested, and she got through this one big time. She was not happy at times out there, but, because the conditions were so heavy, she could use her beautiful touch, the drop shot and the variety, and you can see how much it means to her because she knows she was not playing her best tennis, and those kind of matches to have behind your belt earlier on in the tournament, in the Grand Slam for top players, it's always good because you stay just a little bit more humble and you really take it day by day.
Yeah, we have to remember she had the knee trouble at the start of the year. She missed the Middle Eastern swing. She tried her best, but she just couldn't get herself right for it. And we've got to remember, she's coming into a busy time on the grass. She has final points to defend at Wimbledon. So a really good win for Ons Jabeur against a tricky customer and Camilla Osirian. You could see that smile of delight. Probably also delighted to get the match done. Now, starting things off on Philippe Chatrier, we had former Australian Open champion and Roland-Garros runner-up Sophia Sofia Kenin really take Caroline Garcia to task?
This is like a deja vu because we've been talking about this match a couple of years ago with Kenin saying that, she's always in between the points on a mission. You can really feel her presence on the other side of the court, and that's what Caroline did feel today. It's never easy for her, I feel, for Garcia to come out on Chartier and not feel the nerves, kind of performing in front of her own public. And I feel she was expecting so much from herself that kind of stopped her playing her best tennis, but nothing to take away from Kenin because we know how well she can play, especially here in Paris. She's one of the best competitors we've ever had on the tour, and she played tactically such a brilliant match, really opening up the court with that forehand we just saw there on match point.
She's only got 6 match wins for 2024, Sofia Kenin. Her father didn't look happy at the end, but I'm sure he was happy deep down.
Did he ever look happy?
No, he never looked happy. He looked rather stressed, as did his daughter. But I was listening to an interview she did afterwards, and she spoke about the fire and being feisty. She said, look, I'm not the tallest. I don't have the biggest serve, but I make up for it in the fight. I mean, everything she does, whether it's using the towel, bouncing the ball, serving, is done like it's the last thing she's ever going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much intensity with everything she does. And even off the court, when the match is finished and they talk with the father, I always feel like they're almost fighting. And I'm like, did she just win the match or not? Yeah, like I said, you can feel her presence, which is great because, it shows how much tennis means to her, that after everything she's achieved, she's hungry. She wants to be back to the top where I think she belongs. She's got the tennis, she's got the mentality. Physically, she's incredibly strong, and it didn't surprise us back a few years ago how well she's done here, and it wouldn't surprise me if she goes deep once again here.
Yeah, she's a dangerous player. Now, we continue our progress of following the night session players. I mean, we follow them a little bit too closely. Now we're going to the gym with them.
Okay.
we like to see their movements and what they're up to. We talked about preparation for Yannick Sinner, testing out his football skills there, but everything is done so meticulously. But I guess the unknown here is they're not sure when the match before and Philippe Chatrier is going to finish.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, I wonder where they actually managed to warm up as far as the tennis warm up, because obviously there is that part, and then comes the gym warm up right before the match. So it would have been interesting to know what happened to Yannick. But he seems very relaxed. He's got one of the best teams out there. I mean, Darren Cahill has made such incredible job with improving Yannick from his mentality to his fitness. I think that's where it was one of the key elements for Darren to get Yannick as strong as possible, and that's why now he's run for being the number one in the world.
5 minutes ago, Richard Gasquet came into the gym, 37 years of age. His 21st Roland-Garros appearance.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Really
That's I have always so much admiration and respect for the guys that have been on the tour for so long, because as we both know, it's not easy to do all the travel days and the hard work in and out. Pretty much, except few days of holidays, it's pretty much a full year thing where tennis is a constant thing on your mind. I think it's one of the most challenging things now, being away from it, how it just becomes part of you in always possible, no matter what you're doing, whether you are in a park walking and trying to have a day off, or enjoying your coffee and croissant. Tennis is constantly somewhere there on top of your mind, so that no matter where you are in the world, you don't really see the places as we do now, because you're always thinking about your forehands and backhands. So going back to the longevity, being as long as Richard has been on the tour, I only have respect for that, because it is so difficult.
I've seen lots of pictures of croissants and French food on your Instagram. It's definitely up there with the thought
it's the time of the year that I can't imagine any other time of the year to eat more croissants and bread that I do for these 2 weeks. Really,
it's dangerous.
That's why we do all the running.
Yeah, we have to. It's a very dangerous couple of weeks if you're not careful.
But you're so much better than me. You're so much more disciplined and committed to your healthy lifestyle, where I've ever since retiring, I went down the road.
Well, I don't know about that. And it was raining quite heavily this morning. That is my excuse. Right, back to the action. We've got the 2 courts underway. And take a look at this. This is, and you said just before we came on air, you said it is not done yet. One of the hardest things in tennis is to close it out and get the job done, and Swiatek has broken back.
And I told you that Gigi, when it was 4-1, and Naomi had that backhand up the line winner that she missed in the net to go 5-1.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised if she's still thinking about it by now, because she knows that when you have a chance against someone like Iga, you have to take the chance because another one may not come. And I'm not really surprised we are in this position because Iga has been one of the most incredible competitors we've ever had on the tour. And Naomi, she's an incredible champion. That's why she was in that situation being, let's forget the first set, 6-1, 4-1, because she just has that ability. No matter who is on the other side of the court, no matter how little tennis she has played, she can play this way. Now, not playing as much tennis, this is the moment of the match where it really will matter. So it'll be very interesting what happens in the next 5 to 10 minutes. But yeah, as much as I'm a huge fan of Naomi, I would not be surprised if we see Iga somehow managing to squeeze through this one. Oh, it would be incredible effort, though.
It's a blockbuster. It's incredible. It's living up to its billing, absolutely, and it continues right now on Philippe Chatrier. To the men's matches that have been completed, we actually have one more that we did in the women, so there we go, we're getting there. And this was Carlos Alcaraz. A lot of questions about the right arm. Is it in his head? How bad is it? But for me, Jesper de Jong settled quickly, showed variety, wasn't afraid, and caused Alcaraz to have a little bit of a wobble.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually watched de Jong in his previous match. He spent over 4 hours on the court. And I was like, well, against Carlos, I mean, I don't think he will be able to recover. But he was just as fresh as ever. He also qualified. So this was incredible performance from his end. He wasn't really afraid of Carlos. It was so much fun to see them, how they were smiling at each other. And it was just a beautiful atmosphere that both guys created on Philippe Chatrier. Yeah, I felt like Carlos at times, okay, not on that one, that's his brilliance, but sometimes he wants to almost do too much because he has so much in his repertoire. So I think in the fourth set, he managed to get through just because he was much more disciplined, but it was such a fun match to follow. And kudos to both players because probably it was the most entertaining, one of the most entertaining matches I've seen so far. This year.
Yeah, so much fun. He did say Alcaraz, he dropped that third set because de Jong raised his intensity, he raised his power levels, he raised everything, and he found it very difficult. But Alcaraz was able to find a way. How much of an issue, mentally or physically, do you think the arm is?
It's always a question mark there because even if he may not feel it on the day, and obviously heavy conditions, cold weather doesn't really help it, so that's one thing he would be hoping for, that it gets warmer, so it wouldn't bother him as much. But even if it doesn't hurt, it's always on top of your mind, and it's not fun to play with any kind of injury. Good signs were that he wasn't really complaining about it the first two matches, so let's hope it stays that way. But heavy conditions, I would imagine, that just doesn't help, and you can see how relieved he was there. Not really too happy, I would think, with his performance, but hey, he got the job done.
Yeah, he certainly did. Now, Stefanos Tsitsipas was going along very nicely until he got into a little bit of a pickle against Daniel Altmaier. He lost the tie-break. He would then go a breakdown in the fourth. He would turn it around again. And for me, the interesting thing is Tsitsipas having won Monte Carlo, runner-up Barcelona, final here before. Everyone I've spoken to, no one has put him as a contender to win the title, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's such a good point you make, Gigi. And I also personally did not think of him until you just said this. Why are we not talking about him as one of the favorites? He absolutely should be. I think maybe because we want him to win one, and whenever we talk about him too much, then he doesn't win one. So we are just actually helping him to, stay quiet, not to have the spotlight on his name, and just let him, get the job done. But he has been so impressive so far throughout the entire clay court season. So definitely he should be very confident about his game right now.
15 wins, 3 defeats on the clay. He's playing doubles with Petros, his brother. He's playing mixed doubles with now girlfriend again, Paula Badosa. So he's got a lot of tennis to be navigating. He seems to be in a good place. Afterwards, he said he loved facing someone else with a one-handed backhand, and it was a great place to be, and he's relaxed and he's wonderful. So, I mean, who knows? As you say, maybe he's just going to sail along under the radar.
Yeah, and hey, I will be the first one to congratulate you that, hey, no one was talking about him until you started to bring it up, and you make a
But no,
great point.
I wasn't talking about him either. Haven't picked him to win. Andrei Rublev, winner in Madrid, 6th seed here. He's just quietly going about his business, and normally he's fine through these early rounds and navigating.
Yeah, and I think with Gigi, with Rublev, what I love is how quiet he is also in between the points. That's what was the, I think, key in Madrid, that whenever he could get potentially frustrated, as he was in the past, we don't see any of that. He is so much more mature. We always knew the tennis was there, physicality as well. But also, during today's match, he managed to get through in straight sets because mentally he's just so much more focused, so much more just accepting whatever happens. He doesn't react. He doesn't take anything too personally as he used to in the past. And that's why he's been having incredible last couple of weeks, really.
How much were you aware? You were working on the tournament in Madrid. How much were you all aware as a tournament of how ill he was? Because when he came up, I was working for someone else. He came up to speak to us after he had won. And I said, how close were you to not playing? And then he reeled off this whole week of illness and eating baby food. And he couldn't sleep and he couldn't breathe and he couldn't talk.
Yeah, we were aware of it, that it was to that extent we didn't. I think he really was trying to keep it quiet, and then like you said, he just let go and kind of let us know what he had to go through. And that's why even more so was impressive how he managed to go all the way, because Madrid, especially with the altitude, it is very physical. Clay court tennis in general, you have to be at your best with fitness levels, and if you don't have the food in, it's so hard to last that long in the matches. But he managed, and that's why but I think he managed because he was so low on his expectation levels. That's why he was able to accept everything, being much more humbled, and that's why he got that incredible title there as well.
And he said the voices and the thoughts that he compares to a scary movie. He said he was so ill that they'd gone away.
That happens so often when you're injured or you travel and you arrive late at a tournament. You're just so much more disciplined with your thought process, and sometimes in a strange way, Gigi, I was almost hoping that something would go wrong, being a little bit injured, because then you're so much more easier to accept everything compared to when you prepare well, you've done incredible 2 weeks of preparation, you feel like you're ready to go. That's when the first, second round exits happen very often.
There's a lot of talk about discipline and structure on the show this evening. The rain is still falling. The outside courts, they were cancelled a few hours ago now. We didn't even get an hour's play today on the outside courts, but we have 2 courts with 2 roofs, 2 matches going on at the moment. And we are, for you this evening, going to have our very latest night session. So we have the Australian Open champion, Jannik Sinner. He's going to be stepping out once we get a conclusion for the match on there at the moment against Richard Gasquet in his 21st Roland-Garros appearance. So here for you ahead of that match is a little bit about the 2 men who'll be taken to the court this evening.
He has given so much for the sport. It's good to see him on the court. He's still so talented, so I have to be at my best if I want to win.
Jannik is the favorite of the match, of course, but I have nothing to lose. I will play on center court, night session. It's one of this match. You have to play well, you have to enjoy it, and try to win, of course.
There's the roof. It's on. It's been on for most of the week because the rain is falling. I'm not going to talk about the forecast for tomorrow. I'm going to stay positive. In terms of this evening with the roof, we will get the night session underway. And I think it's key what Richard Gasquet said there. It's about, as much as you can, going out there and enjoying the experience.
Yes, it is. But at the same time, you need a tactical plan, especially against someone like Jannik, because he just comes out firing and he's hitting the ball so hard. So I think Richard, yes, obviously he will enjoy it. I don't think he needs to focus on that or force it, but to me it's so much about the first few games, especially at the beginning of the match, to kind of establish himself. Look, I'm here ready to go toe to toe, and if I can't last because of my physicality, that's one thing, but I want to show you that I came here for real. I would expect from Richard's point of view. He just doesn't want to show up there and enjoy this moment. It's also about, trying to do his best. And it's clay court tennis. He's got the crowd behind him, so you never know. Yannick hasn't played that much tennis the last couple of weeks with that hip injury. So, that's the beauty of our sport. You just never know. And I would like to see Richard going into that night session really thinking, okay, I've got the experience. I've been around. I know what it takes to be top player, so there is no reason why I can't do it tonight. Now, can he do it? That's going to be probably too much of a big task for him, but I definitely feel, still Yannick it's only his second match here, so yeah, you just never know.
Just 2 losses. Yes, there was the walkover in Madrid because of the hip, but in terms of people who have beaten Yannick Sinner this year, 2. Carlos Alcaraz in Indian Wells at semi-finals, Stefanos Tsitsipas in the semi-finals of Monte Carlo. What has impressed you most about the Italian this year?
Oh, Gigi, there are so many things. First of all, mentally, he is so tough in the big moments, and also being able to accept when, things don't go his way. He might have all the rights to get frustrated. He just doesn't get negative anymore, and I think that's one of the biggest strengths Darren Cahill as a coach. He makes his players being so much more positive compared to their natural mindset. He's done it in the past with all the greats. Now he's doing it with Yannick. Then there is the physicality. I mean, he's a tall guy, and his legs, the first step, how explosive he is going after the ball and also recovering from the corners. It's just incredible. And he improved his volleys as well, the serve, and now he has the belief. I think there was a turning point at the ATP finals last year in Torino when he was playing that incredible match with Novak. And there was a rally where I felt like the look he gave to Darren is like, now I believe, no matter what happens. So it's that confidentiality that he walks around and confidence in himself that it's really on his racket. Where before it was like, I think he was happy that he can play with the top players. Now he goes out there and he wants to beat them all.
It's amazing how much it's about belief and confidence. We have another result for you because we do have tennis taking place. There will still be a match to come on Susan Longland, but Coco Gauff, who I think in a way she's going along a little bit under the radar, which sounds crazy when you think of her ranking and what she's already won. But there's so much talk about Świątek and Sabalenka, and Rybakina. But Coco Gauff, very clinical, business-like through to round 3.
And I think it's a good thing for Coco, Gigi, because she has so much spotlight off the court, and being one of the best, I would say, images for women's tour. She's got a lot on her plate, so I think she's enjoying the fact that she's very confident in Paris. We know what she can do here, and that naturally we are talking more about Świątek and Sabalenka just because of what happened the last few weeks and what kind of incredible matches they've played. But looking at Brett Gilbert being in the box, you always have to count his players as being one of the contestants to win any tournament, really.
Yeah, she'll be absolutely delighted. So Coco Gauff moves through in straight sets to round 3. Now, I don't want to scare you, but we have the order of play. And when I say scare you, it's because there's quite a lot of matches. I'm not even going to talk about the weather. 64 matches on tomorrow's order of play. I promise we're not going to run through all of them. 55 are singles matches. These matches will happen because of the roof. Irina Sabalenka starting things off. I have a friend who has tipped Alina Svitolina to win the title. Then Novak Djokovic, where exactly is he? And then Gael Monfils against Lorenzo Musetti. I mean, that's a pretty good lineup.
Oh, what a lineup there, Gigi. And I like your friend's prediction because Alina Svitolina, she hits the ball so beautifully. She's got the experience. Physically, she's in incredible shape. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of her game, and let's see how far she can go.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at Susan Longland. Again, matches that will be completed. I mean, today they added the Stan Wawrinka match to Longland, so they might add another one depending how things go. Daniil Medvedev kicks things off. He was late night and caught Simone Mathieu in his previous round. Then Elena Rybakina, who is healthy as far as we know and fit and just doing what she does so well. And then David Goffin, what a win he got late in the night last night. He is taking on Sasha Zverev. A lot of people's tip for the title. And then Madison Keys, who comes in with a clay court title of her own to Roland-Garros.
Yeah, Madison playing a great clay court tennis, which is always great to see someone that maybe is not such a huge favorite on clay. And Gigi, Sasha Zverev, the way he handled everything and all the attention there was on his first opening match against Rafa, I think he will feel like he can relax and breathe now going into the second one, although Goffin is very experienced. But yeah, definitely Sasha is one of the favorites as well.
Before we leave you this evening, we're going to dip back into the action on Philippe Chatrier. I don't know if you've heard the roars and the cheers, but look at this turnaround here. Naomi Osaka under pressure. I think you might be able to tell what's coming next with this second serve.
I think Iga will be all over this return or double fault. Yep.
The pressure telling, and the situation Osaka was in, and you rightly said, well, hang on a second, there's still an awfully long way to go. And now Iga Świątek with the opportunity to serve it out.
It's almost like I wish she didn't have that break point at 4-1. Then it would have been easier to accept, okay, 4-2, I'm still on serve, break up. But it was, because she has not played enough tennis, it is so tough mentally to just bounce back and forget it because you are not in that match rhythm yet. But what she's shown us as far as her tennis goes, she should be so proud of herself. Coming where she comes from, being away for so long. I think we're going to see a lot of Naomi, even if she doesn't get through tonight, in the upcoming weeks and months, because the way she's hitting the ball, it's like she just never left, really.
And the mark of a champion figuring things out into the third set. Iga Świątek's numbers on break point, she was 1 from 11. She was 0-8 in the third set, but deep in that third set, she's just saved a match point, and that is the mark of a champion. You could see that she was distracted. You could see that she was trying to figure things out, and she somehow seems to have found her way again.
Well, Gigi, she's showing us once again why she's mentally the strongest competitor out there for the last couple of years. The intensity she brings into every single point, every single thing she does in between the points of the court. It is just incredible. And I think that determination and the discipline with her thought process is why she's able to, have comebacks like this, whether she wins it or not. No matter what the outcome will be tonight, she's showing us once again why she's this incredible champion and competitor.
Danny, thank you so much for braving the weather and taking time out from your Legends training to be with us this evening.
What about your coaching duties? I'm expecting you. Okay, I gave you a little warning that you didn't show up for my morning session yesterday, but I do expect you to be there for the following one, because otherwise we'll have to rethink things.
I've already been fired once this year, so the chances are it might happen again, but thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure, as always, Gigi.
If you'd like to see how things pan out on court Philippe Chatrier, you can follow via the social media channels or the website, or you can tune into Radio Roland-Garros for live ball-by-ball commentary. We'll also be taking you through the night session this evening. Richard Gasquet against Yannick Sinner, and we're going to be back tomorrow at the same time, rain or shine. We've got an awful lot of matches to get through, and we're going to be here to get through all of them. But until next time, enjoy your evening.